You got time.
You got time.
I'll take it up. I'll take it. I'll pick you up Sunday morning. I'll pick you up Sunday morning.
Okay, 6:30.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll let you know early this week. I'm just letting you know now.
The coffee maker.
No.
That's
If I go, I'm going Tuesday, so
The coffee makers are important.
We're recording
All right. Good morning, everybody. Today is Daf and Tess in Maseches Gittin. So we left off. We had a statement from Rabba Berei de Rabba, the Tema, Rabbi Hillel Berei de Rabbi Vilas. So now we have another statement, the exact same Amora. So we are on, I don't know, 6-7 lines to the top on Nun Testament, and away we go. The Amar Rabba Berei de Rabba, the Tema Rabbi Hillel Berei de Vilas. Moshe Ba'ad Rebbe Loi Matzina Torah V'Gedula B'Makom Echad. From the days from Moshe Rabbeinu until Rebbe, Rabbi Nasi, right? We have not found Torah and Gedula and authority in the same place, in the same individual, right? Only from Moshe. The Ivelo, Have Yeshua. What about Yeshua? Have Elazar. There was Elazar. Was just as great in Torah. I have your Elazar. Okay, what about Elazar when it was just him? So Avi Pinchas. Pinchas was there, right? Pinchas was Avi Pinchas. And what about Pinchas? Didn't he have Torah Gedula? So Avi was a game. Oh, Avi. So how Avi Shol? What about Shol? Avi Shmuel. Shmuel was at the same time. I've heard no Nachshay, but Shmuel passed away. So our answer is no Kulu Shani Kamra. We mean all the years. In other words, not just part of the time they're the Torah Gedula. All their time they were Torah Gedula. I've Avi David or David Melech. Avi Ira Hayiri was Ira is Rebbe. I've Noch Nafshe, but he died. So Kulu Shani Binan. We need all the years, right? Some of the years of David Melech, he was outshined in Torah. I Havi Shlomo, where Shlomo? Avi Shimon Megera. I Bahar Katle, he was killed. So Kulu Shani Kamrina. Once again, we give the same teretz that it means all the years. I have Chizkiah. What Chizkiah? He was Torah Gedula. So Havi Shabda. So the verse is I till he was killed. So my answer is once again Kulu Shani Kamrinan. We mean the entire time. Ravi Ezra. So Havi Nechamiah ben Chachli. And Amar Rav Acha Berei the Rav Achani Amir Miyamais Rebbe the Ad Rav Ashi Lo Matzina Torah Gedula. Also from the days of Rebbe to Rav Ashi, we didn't find anyone at Torah Gedula. But Makom Mechad, amongst the same individual. I Velo, Havi Huna Bar Nas. And I, what about Huna, the great Huna Bar Nas? Why answer is no Shani Huna Bar Nas from the Hayachaya Flay L'Ravashi, because he basically used to give respect to Ravashi, so he was not the top in terms of Gedula Torah, because he sort of what's it called? He he lowered himself to Ravashi. Fine. Now in Mishnah. Mishnah says
It's a very strange thing.
yes. Cheresh, I gotta move on. Cheresh Reimez, the Nirmaz, right? So Cheresh was Reimez or Nirmaz, right? So Cheresh, a deaf mute, who really, if a person cannot make it, he's not really a bardas. A bardas is needed, a person in order to make a transaction, to acquire, to sell, to be magnet, to be kaina. You need das. And we know that, or we say that a deaf mute does not have the proper das. Nevertheless, he's about a hand signal in order to make a kinyan, right? And we do that. We allow that in order for them to survive, to be able to buy things, to be able to get food, so on and so forth. And Ben Meseira says no. He's even allowed to go ahead and he's allowed to mouth it, right? There's no sound comes out, but he's allowed to go ahead and do what Avrami's doing, say strong across, whatever it is. He's allowed to be kaifes v'nikvatz. So it's in it, not only signaling, but even mouthing. Now, mouthing is a very chiddush, and we're talking about metalton, we're talking about movable objects, like we said, in order for them to be able to survive. But we say that young children, once again, their transactions, their buying and selling they're allowed to sell or buy. That does work, and this is the metalton. Once again, move objects in order for them to go ahead and be able to, to survive. So Zok the Gemara. So Amar Rav Nachman Machleges metalton. This is Machleges by metalton. The gifted, however, when it comes to buying and marrying, let's say a cheresh, then divrei hakol b'remiza. Everyone holds that you can't go ahead and mouth it. You need to go ahead and do remiza, right? The enhancing. So it says pshita. Metaltalin tanan. It says over there. Metaltalin. So Moshe said ach metaltalin. Maybe means not only gittin, but even metaltalin. Kamash malon. They were only talking about metaltalin when it comes to gittin. Even if Beseira says you can't mouth it, you have to go ahead and they have to hint it. And he could Amri Amr Rav Nachman go machlekes metaltalin. Kach machlekes just like this machlekes between the Tanakama and Ben Beseira. So too, there's also kach machlekes begin. So there's machlekes begin. I v'onam metaltalin. Our mission says metaltalin does not mention gittin. Gemara says ema ach metaltalin. Say not only gittin but even metaltalin they have the same machlekes. Varuba is mekach. It comes with purchasing when it comes to young children. Memkar and memkar that their purchases are purchases and their sales are valid sales. The metaltalin. We're talking about mobile objects, not real estate. Viad kama. And how old must they be? So Machur Rav Yehuda Rav Yitzchak Berei says so Rav Yehuda basically showed his son, right. Interestingly enough, he sort of signed it over just like we're talking about like Ramiza, right. He says Farshis Kvarshav 6 or 7, right. That was what he pointed out to him. Rav Kano Omar Kvarshev Kvartini, maybe 7 or 8. Masni Satana Kvar Tesha Kvar Eser 9 or 10. Like it's not a machlekes kol chad echad lefi churfei. Each one is basically called, what they saw. They saw a child who was 6 or 7 who was smart enough, so that the child was okay. So now it was machlekes each place. I guess they based it off of the intelligence of the young child. The time of my in order for them to be able to survive, to buy, to have food. So. And this was Rav Abba Bar Yaakov in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Speaking of which, there's a passage that says, "Vayomer Lasha al ha-meltacha haitzi levush l'chol oivdei habal." So he brought out the meltacha to all those who were worshiping the Baal. My meltacha. What is this meltacha? So I'm Rav Abba Bar Yaakov and Rabbi Yochanan. Once again, we bring this because it is the same same Amora, right? So he says. Davar havnimla v'nimtach, right? Something that I guess rolled and stretched, right? And I was referring to a very fine garment that was brought out. And Kiyas Rav Dimon Rabbi Yochanan the Shigar lois Bunim ben Nunan the Rav Sivni. So as a Bunim bar Ninum, right? Sent to Rabbi the Rebbe. So he sent them Sivni v'chaymeim salsla mala. So four different types of garments. Sivni v'chaymes, right? These 2 fine linens of Sivni and chaymes. Those are kemgeiza upalga. Them guys those basically folded over is like a nut and a half. That's how thin it was. And susla of malia, and the susla malia type of garment was kapistaka upalga pistaka, right? An acorn and a half. And my malia, why is it called malmula? Devar hanimla v'nimtach, something that's rolled and stretched, a very fine linen. So that was why it was brought in, because it was the same. Rav Dima Rabbi Yochanan. No, it was Rabbi Abba Bar Yaakov and Rabbi Yochanan. But to his son ad kama. Now let's say a miner doesn't make a mistake and they buy something too expensive, or they sell something too cheap. Ad kama, how much? Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Zera, ashtus kingoido. Right? Now we have a halacha when it comes to einain. Right? A person cannot rip someone off more than a 6. So the same halacha that applies to a gadol, so to applies with a katan. And so by his question about Tanasa, what about can a child go ahead and give matana? So Rav Yema Amar ein matanasa matana. You cannot give something away. Rav Ashi Amar matanasa matana. The son of Rav Ashi says it is indeed a matana. And Achua, some who learned this, they switched it around. In other words, they attributed Rav Ashi to say it was not a matana. The Shadrula Kamei the Rav Mordechai. They told us before Rav Mordechai. So Amarle Zilu. Amru lebarmar, go ahead and tell Mar Rav Ashi. Right, this is what happened. Lav hachi ava uvda. Right, this is a ma'aseh that happened with your father Rav Ashi. Ki havi kaimar chad karei arva chad karei adarga. And he was standing for the base medrash, 1 foot on the ground, 1 foot on the stair. Right, we asked Rav Ashi. No, we asked Rav Ashi's father. Matanasa, what is the story with the matana for a cotton? Farmalani told us matanasa, matana. right? A matana is valid. So now they reversed Rav Ashi saying it was not a matana, and they see clearly that don't reverse it because his father also held that a matana was a valid matana. Achas matas chimera, whether it's a person who's dying, achas matas burial or healthy, achas matas meruba, or it's large, or achas matas mutas or small. All of it is valid, even if it's a cut. Fine. Nine Mishnah. Mishnah says, these are the things, some of the items that we said because of Darchei Shalom. Kohen Rishon, a Kohen gets called up, reads the Torah first, V'acharav Levi, and afterwards a Levi, V'acharav Yisrael, and afterwards Yisrael, Mipnei Darchei Shalom, because of Darchei Shalom. Make sure that there's there's no the world runs peacefully. And Marvin, we take the Erev the Bayis Yashim. We don't move around. We don't sort of create the fight as to where the Erev Chatzeros is placed. Right, it's placed in one of the houses. So they're placed in the same house. So therefore, there's not a fight. Who goes next? Whose turn is it? Or when they're going ahead and use a watering hole, Shehu Karav the Amma, which is close to the Amma, with the channel. So the one that's closest to the cistern, they used to block them off so the water would flow by to the next fields. So who would take first? So they said the one that was closest to the channel of water, Mismala Rishon, would go ahead and fill up first. Mipnei Darchei Shalom, because of Darchei Shalom. Matsuda is Chaya v'Oifas v'Dagim, right? One who sets out a trap and it traps an animal. So even though a person didn't make a kinyan yet, Yesh B'Adam Shem Gezel Mipnei Darchei Shalom. This is considered to be Gezel if one goes ahead and takes something that was trapped by somebody else. It's not, it's still Hefker. It's Gezel because of Darchei Shalom. And Rabbi Yossi Amir Gezel Gamor. He says, no. It is actually the person who trapped the animal acquires the animal, and therefore someone else takes that which he trapped. It is Gezel. It is indeed considered to be Gezel, not even just Darchei Shalom, but even Gezel at the Deraisa level. And Matthias Cheresh Shaita V'Katan, also something that's Cheresh Shaita V'Katan, don't really make kinyanim. They find something, a person snags it from them. Yesh Mishum Gezel Darchei Shalom. That is Gezel Darchei Shalom. Rabbi Yossi Amir Gezel Gamor. That's considered to be Gezel Gamor. On the Hamanaki Perush Hazayis, if a poor person is up getting the matanos for the aniyim, let's say he's up in an olive tree, Ma Shetachtav Gezel, let's say he's cutting some olives and he drops some, they're on the ground, that is Gezel, person picks them up from them, that is Gezel Darchei Shalom, that belongs really to the Levi who was on top of to the Ani who was on top of the tree. Rabbi Yossi Amir Gezel Gamor, Rabbi Yossi says that is Gezel Gamor. Ein makin biyad ani adik chavim like a shikol payim mipnei Darchei Shalom. Also, if an adik chavim, a non-Jew who's poor, is taking like a shikol payah, they are taking the matanos niyim. We don't stop them because of Darchei Shalom. Fine. So the first halakha we said was Kohen, then Levi, then Yisrael. Minahani Mili Amarav Matna. So it says Ramas Demakar. The pasuk says Vayichta Moshe Satayra Azais Vayitna El Kohanim Bnei Levi. They give it to the Kohanim B'nai Levi. So to one lo yadina the Kohanim B'nai Levi. We don't know the Kohanim are sons of the Levi, right? They're not from Levi. Ella, rather, what's going to teach us? Kohen Bereisha. First it says the Kohanim B'nai Levi. They would teach us Kohen Bereisha. The Hadar Levi. First Kohen you call up, and then the Levi. Rabbi Yezin Afcha has a similar source. Some of Mehachi says over here, V'niksha Kohanim B'nai Levi. So then they approach the Kohanim B'nai Levi. So to Ana lo yadina the Kohanim B'nai Levi. We don't know the Kohanim were from the descendant from Levi. First you call up a Kohen, and then you call up a Levi. Rav Ashi Amar Mehacha from over here. B'nai Amram Aaron Moshe Vayivdil Aaron lahakdisha Kodesh Kodesh. So he says over there they separated Aaron lahakdisha Kodesh Kodesh. So we see over there that they are first when it comes to Kedusha. All right, and Rav Chia bar Abba Omer Mehacha never possibly Kidashto. It says, and he sanctified in the whole davar shebek kedusha. Any matter of kedusha, the Kohen comes first. And Tana the Beirishma Kidashto, the whole davar shebek kedusha. Liftach Berishon. Any matter of kedusha, he opens up first. Ulavari, and I was he gets called up, right? Liftach Rishon, right? Levarich Rishon. He blesses first. Litol Mana Yafa. He benches, right? Or he makes the bracha first for the meal, or he takes the first piece of food at the table. So all those things are given to the Kohen. And Amalei by the Rav Yossi, Mipnei Darchei Shalom. This is because the Darchei Shalom. Daraisa. Well, you just brought these psukim as sources that the Kohen goes first. So the Chayres in Daraisa. Yes, indeed, it is. It is the Torah says it like this way because of Darchei Shalom. It says called Torah Kula Nami B'nei Darchei Shalom. The Torah is written Darchei Shalom. The pasuk says Darchei Naya. Right? Shalom. Right? Its ways are pleasant. right? And it creates a peace. So Rabbi look at the Mar. Like Mar says, the Tanya Shnayim Matinin Zelazeh B'Kara. Right? You have two people who are sitting with one another and they're sharing a plate. So Matin Zebazeh, one of them is leaves for a minute or has to pause, whatever it is. So it's not fair if the other one continues to eat. So therefore, you wait for if there's two people. That's Darach Yishalom, right? And Shleisha, however, three people eat together, they ain't Matin. Then you don't force two other people to go ahead and wait for you. And Habutzeya, who Paishiyat Chila, one who goes ahead and breaks bread, right? He's they used to have the harder bread and you break it over. The ones but say who Paishiyat Chila, right? And he basically gets first call on all and on the chicken and everything else that's served. He gets the first choice. However, however, if this Kohen wants to go ahead and give kavod to someone who's greater than him or his rebbe, then he's allowed to go ahead and do it. The Amar Mar, he mentioned the Amar Allah, and he said about this, by Suda, you can go ahead and give up your kavod. Kohen, please bench. No, let's go ahead and my rabbi bench, even though he's Yisrael. About the Kohen, up a basic Knesses, but when it comes to a shul, low, then you're not allowed to dustle and suya. Because once the Kohen steps down, says, you have to call me up first, call somebody else, then it begins to be machlokes. The Kohen's not where? In the Suda?
Yeah.
The Suda, yeah, if he wants to go ahead and do it, he can be he can give kavod. Correct. That is right. And Amar Rav Masna Hadamar to the basic law. That which is the basic you can't go ahead and Kohen says, you know what, just give it to the Yisrael. That's not the Shabbos and the Shrichi Rabbim, because a lot of people there, then there's a lot of opinions there, a lot of people, a lot of one. But it's a small minion on Monday and Thursday, low. Then you can go ahead and the Kohen can say, you know what, just give it to the others. I'm good today. So the says, Eini is a soba, Rav Huna Kare. Rav Huna, who was not a Kohen, he used to get called up first on Shabbos and Yom Tov. There was a lot of people. Yes, no, Shani Rav Huna, the Afilu Rav Ami Rav Asi, Kohanim Chashiv, there it's Michav Hayu Kayfle. The Rav Huna was so chashiv that even Rav Ami and Rav Asi, who were Kohanim from the Chashiv of Kohanim from Eretz Yisrael, they would still go ahead and show kavod to Rav Huna, and therefore Rav Huna was considered to be on a higher level. And Amar Abaye, Naptinon, Ein Sham Kohen. If there is no Kohen, then these parda chavila. Then everything has unraveled. No Kohen, now it is a free for all. Call up whoever you'd like.
West.
The Amar Abaye and says Abaye Naktino also say Ein Sham Levi. If there is no Levi there, Kohen. Then a Kohen reads. All right, Well, a Kohen reads the second aliyah. So why says Eini? Is this so? V'amar Rabbi Yechanan Kohen acher Kohen. Lo yikara. You should not call up a Kohen after a Kohen. Why? Mishum Gamash Rishon. Because the Pagam of the Rishon, people are going to go ahead and think, hey, that person who's was called up first is not a Kohen. That's why they're going ahead and calling up another Kohen. Something wrong with this yichus. Can't give him truma. We can't work in the mikdash, right? We're going to say bad things about him. And a Levi acher Levi, if a Levi is called up acher Levi, lo yikar mishum pagam shneim, because of the pagam of both of them. Either the pagam, people might think the first guy was not a Levi, right? And that's why they had to call up another Levi, or they'll think that the second guy is not a Levi because they called him up after a Levi and he's a Yisrael. So Gemara says no. What? No, Levi Ach Levi means 1, 2. It means the second and third aliyahs. The second and third aliyahs. The second and third aliyahs.
Second and third.
Yeah.
Right.
Levi Ach Levi, yeah.
Politics.
And the Gemara says, Kikamrinon b'yaysa Kohen. That which we said, by the way, don't ask the case of Kohen Ach Kohen, because that which we say you call up a Kohen if there is no Levi, it means the same Kohen. The same Kohen will get 2 in a row.
Gabbai, are you taking notes?
So Maishna, so Gemara says now, why by Levi, so Maishna Levi after Levi, why do we say they can't go up a Levi after another Levi? Because we might think something wrong about either one of them. Lav Levi, right? Because we'll say one of them is not a Levi. If we know the second guy is a Levi, then the first guy probably was not a Levi. Now we had to go ahead and call up someone instead to call up a Levi. Or that we know the first guy was a Levi, then the second guy is probably maybe he's Yisrael. So, but however, Kohen after Kohen Nami, Lav Kohen. Why didn't you just have the same issue with the Kohanim? Why did you say we're just worried about the first guy, not the second guy? About the first guy, not the second guy. So our answer is Kegoin the Muchzak Lan Biavua. Dai Sheni Koenu. We now worried about the second guy because we know his father's a Kohen. So we know his father's a Kohen. So therefore we know he's a good Kohen. So why did they call him after another Kohen? It must be the first Kohen was bad. So Gemara says, how can I mean the Muksalam Devu the high Sheni Levi? Well, we'll say the same thing about the Levi, right? We know the second guy is a Levi, so maybe we should just worry about the first guy. He's not a Levi. So Ella Amri Mamzeres and Nasina Dasit Upase Lazare, right? So no, even if the guy's father was a Levi, right? Maybe he's the father married a Mamzeres, and he's a puzzle. So Gemara says, how can I buy the Kohen? Ami Grusha Chalutzanasi. Maybe we'll say, even though we know the first guy's right, even though we know the second guy's father was a Kohen and Levi, maybe he married a Grusha. So Gemara says, then he was sorry. So Gemara says, so maybe Miko Havi. You wouldn't call him up second if we know the first, right? In other words, if the second guy, we know his father was a Kohen, and we called him up. So what are his two options? He's either a Kohen or Yisrael. He's not getting called up second in the Levi spot. So why is he getting called Levi in the spot? It must be that the first guy wasn't good. The second guy, right? He doesn't become, if his mother was a Grusha, he doesn't become a Levi. He wouldn't get called up second, and now we have to worry, right? About the second guy, right? So therefore, that's the only reason why we worry about one and not the other, because it goes from Kohen to Levi, not Kohen to Yisrael. Now, God says, who are we worried about? I understand if we're worried about the people sitting, so they're going to count, right? Okay, there was 3 Aliyahs. This guy got first guy, so he obviously is the Kohen. And if the second guy, so he's obviously getting called up in second there. So who are we worried about? Rather, for the people who go ahead and leave shul early, they don't know how many Aliyahs. Therefore, if one guy was called up first, and then a Kohen was called up second, right? So then you might think, okay, this is going to be the first Aliyah, and they're going to have 3 Aliyahs, or they're going to have 7 Aliyahs, including this one after this, but they're not going to include the first one. So therefore, because of Pagam Rishon, that's the reason why we say you can't call up a Kohen, a different Kohen after the first Kohen. There's no Levi there because of the Pagam of the Rishon. All right, well, we'll stop here. Everybody have a wonderful day. Sunday,